It was early autumn when David returned home for the first time in over 2 years. The air was sharp, scented with turning leaves and wood smoke, and the porch of our old Virginia house creaked under his weight, just the way it used to when he was 17 and storming in after a fight with his father. But David wasn't a teenager anymore. He was 26 now, leaner, more quiet, with his late mother's dark eyes and his father's skeptical stare. When he hugged me, it was polite, distant. I knew something was still broken. "Thanks for having me," he said, slipping off his boots by the door. "You don't have to thank me," I replied, gesturing toward the kitchen. "Your family." He hesitated before nodding. We both knew it wasn't quite that simple anymore. David's father, Charles, and I had been married for almost 12 years. I came into David's life when he was just 14 and angry, with drawn kids still grieving the death of his mother. I had tried hard in those early years. I helped with homework, packed school lunches, took him to doctor's appointments when Charles was too busy with his law practice. I never tried to be his mother, just someone he could rely on. For a while, it seemed like it was working. But then things shifted. Charles grew cold, distant, always at the office or worse, in his phone, texting God knows who. By the time David left for college, Charles and I were hardly speaking. And by the time David came back to visit the following summer, I was in the middle of something I never imagined I'd be capable of, an affair. It lasted 5 months. The man, Eli, was someone I met through a community art class. He was kind, a bit too interested at first, but persistent. We talked more than we touched, and while the affair did turn physical, what I remembered most was the feeling of being seen again, of being asked how I was, of being wanted. That version of me, the one who laughed, who painted, who flirted with life again, was someone I hadn't known since before Charles and I married. I ended it. I told Eli it was a mistake, and it was. I confessed everything to Charles 3 weeks later, sobbing in our living room while he stood there stone-faced, silent. He left the next morning and never came back. The divorce was bitter. Charles blamed me for everything. David stopped speaking to me altogether. And now, 2 years later, he was sitting in my kitchen again, older but still carrying that same coldness. I made us coffee. Something about the silence felt heavier than usual. I wanted to say something, anything, to shatter it. "I made the apple tart you used to like," I said gently, placing the plate in front of him. He stared at it. "You still make this?" "I do." He picked up the fork, but didn't eat. His jaw clenched. "I know why you asked me to come," he said finally. I looked at him, surprised. "You do? You want to explain? Or confess? Or apologize? Whatever word makes it easier for you." His voice wasn't angry. It was tired. Tired in the way someone gets when they've been carrying around something far too long. I sat down across from him. "David, I don't want to make excuses. But I want you to understand. I never wanted to hurt you. Or your father." He finally took a bite of the tart. He chewed slowly, swallowed, then looked at me. "This still tastes like home," he said. That broke something in me. I felt tears well up, but I held them back. I wasn't sure I had the right to cry. He continued. "You were the one who made this for my birthday, every year after Mom died. I hated you at first, you know. I thought you were trying to replace her. But then you remembered my favorite dessert. You'd always bake 2, one for me and one to take to the shelter. And then I started to think, maybe you weren't so bad." I smiled faintly. "You never told me that." He shrugged. "I didn't tell you a lot." We sat in silence again. This time it wasn't so heavy. "I know what happened between you and Dad," he said after a moment. "I mean the cheating, the affair." He told me. "I'm not proud of it," I said softly. "It was a terrible choice." "Yeah," he said. "It was." I nodded, taking the hit. But what he didn't tell me, what I had to figure out on my own, was that he was cheating too. I looked up startled. "What?" "Yeah. Dad had a woman in DC long before your affair. I found the text one summer. I never said anything. I figured it wasn't my business. But when he told me you ruined everything, when he asked me to cut you off, I guess that's when I realized maybe both of you made mistakes. But only one of you ever apologized." That's when the tears came. I wiped my face, embarrassed. Why didn't you say anything before? Because I wanted to hate you. It was easier than admitting everything was more complicated than I thought.
But now?
I don't know. I guess I wanted to taste the truth. See what it was like to sit here and not be angry anymore. I reached across the table and touched his hand. Thank you for coming back. I'm not saying everything's fixed, he said. I know. But this tart, this kitchen, this conversation, it's a start. He stayed the weekend. We didn't talk about the past much after that. Instead, we walked through the farmer's market. He helped me repaint the back fence. We laughed at a bad movie, just like we used to. On Sunday morning, he made breakfast and set the table just the way Charles used to, only with more care. Before he left, he took another piece of tart for the road. As he pulled out of the driveway, he rolled down the window and called out, "Make another one next time I visit, okay?" I will. And I did. Because sometimes, offering someone a taste of the truth, of your regret, your growth, your humanity, is the only way to rebuild what's been broken. It doesn't erase the past, but it can help make something new, something better, something that tastes like home again.